Rach, maybe your resolution should be to gossip less.
I don't gossip. Maybe sometimes I find out things or I hear something and I pass that information on, kind of like a public service.
When Jennifer Aniston and her co-stars first stepped onto the Friends set, they couldn't have predicted how those simple, quirky spaces would help shape one of the most successful shows in television history.
I heard that story. I, oddly enough, had a dream last night that actually happened to me. I read it in the paper, the Friends reunion was happening, and I just didn't get called. Isn't that weird?
Monica's apartment, with its bold colors and cozy clutter, and Central Perk, with that worn orange couch, became more than just backdrops. They felt like home to the cast and viewers alike. But what really happened behind those walls? And how did those sets help build real friendships that lasted far beyond the final scene? The truth is worth discovering. The Friends set. When Friends premiered on NBC in 1994, it started as a modest sitcom about 6 20-somethings navigating the complexities of adulthood in New York City. The original concept went through multiple titles, from Insomnia Cafe to Friends Like Us, before landing on the simple, unforgettable name Friends. What made the series stand apart from other comedies at the time was not just its witty writing or relatable storylines, but the vibrant world created on its set. From the beginning, the production team worked meticulously to design environments that felt like extensions of the characters themselves, turning Monica's apartment and Central Perk into places that felt familiar to viewers, almost like a second home. The design of the set for Friends was not merely a background, it was a fully fledged character in the narrative of the one sitcom. The apartment of Monica, with its purple walls, was overlaid with a strong sense of independence and warmth, and was further speckled with many quirky touches that clearly reflected her personality. Central Perk, with all its mismatched armchairs and that iconic orange couch, was an inviting space in which both characters and audiences seemed to feel at home. And some behind-the-scenes stuff in First for Women agrees that those places served quite a lot to bring the cast and crew together, even though, in reality, they are functional spaces. Often, the cast would have just stayed back on set, after shooting, rehearsing lines, joking about, and mostly supporting each other, leading to a very home-like environment on set. What went on behind the scenes was a peculiar dynamic that few shows were able to manage. A true bond between cast and crew that transformed into on-set magic. Jennifer Aniston and fellow actors described the set as a safe space, a space in which they could all be entertained and could entirely fail or succeed together unguardedly. The studio audience only added another layer, with live laughter and applause providing an energy boost to the set. Even amid the burning pressure of producing hit episodes week after week, that environment of mutual respect and joy was what kept the morale high and performances fresh and helped raise Friends to become one of the highest-rated sitcoms in its era. Friends is somewhat of a strange artifact now, only preserved because the Warner Brothers studio tour in Burbank attracts thousands of visitors every year from around the globe who want to relive some of their most cherished experiences. Monica's kitchen and Central Perk couch from the set are some potent symbols of that very timelessness. For Jennifer Aniston and her co-stars, those walls have witnessed seasons of growing up, laughter, growth, and the making of something that would forever be dear to them. The Friends set was where the magic of work was done, where friendships were formed, lives transformed, and television history was written. But what truly happened when the cameras stopped rolling is a story of its own. Behind the scenes of Friends. The behind-the-scenes dynamic of Friends was one of the show's greatest strengths and a key reason it resonated so deeply with audiences. From the very first table read, The cast: Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matthew Perry, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer, clicked in a way that felt rare and effortless. What began as 6 actors stepping into roles soon became a real-life bond that elevated the material and created authentic chemistry. Jennifer Aniston has shared in various interviews how this connection was immediate, creating a comfort level that allowed for natural humor, unscripted moments, and genuine emotion in their scenes together. That camaraderie was something viewers could feel in every episode, making the characters' friendships believable and beloved. That bond reached far beyond the stage and the camera. Off-screen, the cast would often hang out together since they simply liked each other. As reported by First for Women, the cast gathered for dinners, celebrated birthdays, and were there for each other during important times in life, whether that be weddings or heartbreaks. These friendships weren't manufactured for publicity. They were built through long hours on set and the sudden onrush of fame that accompanied the show's success. In particular, Aniston and Courtney Cox developed a closeness that was so profound that Cox became the godmother of Aniston's daughter, a testament to how far these relationships went beyond workplace connections. The extraordinary unity among the cast was also translated into their professional decisions. With the rise of Friends, the scrutiny and pressure had also amplified, which sometimes resulted in competition and egos disrupting the bonds. However, taking that extraordinary step of negotiating salaries as a group in the later seasons of the show was an incredibly bold move for the actors. It meant that all 6 stars were paid equally, at a time when it was rare in Hollywood. The statement was just their mutual consideration. As Jennifer Aniston has mentioned, it was not only a matter of fairness, it was also a matter of keeping the kind of harmony that made Friends so special on and off screen. That spirit of equality and support etched itself not only upon industry hearths, but also on the very minds of scores of people whom it embraced. Even when the cameras stopped rolling, these back-of-the-scenes bonds flourished. The cast witnessed each other's highs and lows, graduations, weddings, and even some births, while nurturing their close ties through the decades. For Jennifer Aniston and her Friends co-stars, Ida left in the sitcom, growing friendship with the charm of a show designed for eternity. Icon of reinvention. When Jennifer Aniston first stepped into the role of Rachel Green, she couldn't have predicted how profoundly it would shape her career and public image. Originally conceived as just one part of the ensemble, Rachel was meant to represent the relatable struggles of a young woman trying to find her place in the world after leaving behind the security of her privileged upbringing. But thanks to Aniston's charm, vulnerability, and impeccable comedic timing, the character evolved into a standout figure who became symbolic of personal growth and resilience. Aniston has often shared that Rachel's transformation, from runaway bride to confident, independent woman, mirrored many of her own experiences navigating newfound fame and responsibility during those early years on Friends. Rachel's journey on the show wasn't just about her romances or career missteps. It was about learning to stand on her own. Jennifer Aniston has reflected in interviews on how she admired Rachel's determination to succeed without leaning on her family's wealth. From working as a waitress at Central Perk to climbing the fashion ladder at Bloomingdale's and Ralph Lauren, Rachel's career arc highlighted the challenges of self-reinvention, a theme that deeply resonated with fans. Aniston embraced the opportunity to portray a character who could be glamorous yet flawed, funny yet vulnerable, helping viewers connect to Rachel on multiple levels beyond her romantic entanglements. Rachel has gone on to be a bold signature in styling for a designer through all seasons. In fact, for a designer through the ages and at some future date as well. From stealing in an elegant outfit to cool denim, Rachel showed all the magic styling a woman could hold for imitation throughout the world. The Rachel haircut, an absolute headache for Aniston, who found it a little cumbersome with this hairstyle, has only added more to the cultural iconography of the character. The role played by Jennifer Aniston suggests that Rachel is also perceived as easily relatable yet aspirational, thus making it simple to identify with both her tribulations and being charmed by her self-assured attitude and feel of reinvention. Rachel Green was more than just a role that propelled Jennifer Aniston to superstardom with awards such as an Emmy and a Golden Globe. It was also a character very close to her heart. Even after the series was off-air for years, Aniston would often recount how moved she was when fans would share with her their personal stories about how Rachel had inspired them to pursue a dream career, leave a bad relationship, or appreciate themselves. To Aniston, Rachel was more than just a character. She signified growth, hope, and the belief that anyone can change their story, regardless of their beginnings. The Rachel haircut craze. When Friends first aired, no one anticipated that one of its most unexpected legacies would be a hairstyle. Yet, Rachel Green's layered, face-framing cut, soon known everywhere as the Rachel, became one of the defining beauty trends of the 1990s. Created by Jennifer Aniston's longtime hairstylist Chris McMillan, the haircut debuted during the first season and almost instantly became as iconic as the character herself. Salons worldwide were inundated with requests for the look, and magazine covers showcased Aniston's new style as the must-have cut of the decade. The Rachel wasn't just a hairstyle, it became a symbol of the fresh, modern woman that Rachel Green represented. What's fascinating is that the cut's widespread popularity came as a surprise to Aniston herself. Despite how much the world loved the look, she found it difficult to manage. In multiple interviews, including those highlighted by First for Women, Aniston candidly admitted that she struggled to recreate the style on her own. She described it as high maintenance and once went so far as to call it the ugliest haircut she'd ever seen on herself, a humorous contrast to the global obsession it sparked. The cut required constant upkeep from McMillan to maintain its signature shape, leaving Aniston feeling that the style's effortless appearance was anything but effortless behind the scenes. While it had a layered finish with some hacking texture on the surface, the Rachel found favor because it exuded that playful, aspirational energy characteristic of the Friends era. Rachel's style and confidence evolved together with her hair, and the women embraced it as part of a bigger cultural moment, which stood for independence and self-expression. In the final seasons, fine and understated looks replaced the more voluminous, sexier ones with the growing up of Rachel Green-backed storylines. Nevertheless, that first haircut made a serious mark on fashion history, referenced in style retrospectives and imitated in various interpretations into the 21st century and beyond. The Rachel remains one of the most iconic hairstyles in television history, a symbol in its own right for the power of the character and the cultural reach of the show. While Jennifer Aniston was not a fan of the cut, she did acknowledge its role in pop culture. One has to admire its staying power, a haircut that is the proud insignia of a generation, giving rise to whole new trends and influencing millions. Rachel was never going to be an in-and-out haircut either. It evolved to become the visual shorthand of the essence of Friends, and that of the ever-so-stylish independent woman at its core, the mystery of Rachel's dress. Among Rachel Green's many iconic fashion moments on Friends, few have sparked as much curiosity and debate as the elegant dress she wore in the Season 3 episode, The One Where No One's Ready. In this memorable scene, Rachel selects a sleek, square-neck dress with a high slit for a black tie event Ross is desperate to get everyone to attend. While the scene itself became beloved for its humor and tension, the dress took on a life of its own decades later. As Friends marked its 30th anniversary, fans took to social media to settle an unexpected question. Was Rachel's dress actually blue, or was it green? The confusion over the dress's color arose largely due to evolving technology and how the show is viewed today. When Friends originally aired in HD, most fans remembered the dress as mint green. But as streaming services like Max began offering the series in ultra-sharp 4K resolution, many viewers noticed that the dress now appeared to have a light blue hue. Side-by-side images began circulating online, fueling comparisons to the infamous 2015 white and gold or black and blue dress debate that captivated the internet. What seemed like a small wardrobe detail quickly became a fun mystery for fans eager to dissect every piece of Friends history. It was actually Jennifer Aniston who put an end to all the speculation. The most memorable part of it all was when Aniston shared the same image of the dress on her Instagram stories as she gave a straight answer. Then followed a statement. For the record, the dress was mint green. It was a statement worth waiting for by all fans who had scrutinized the screenshots and performed color comparisons. The statement re-emphasized the bond of Jennifer Aniston with the character and her ongoing status as the #1 source of truth about all things Rachel Green. In an environment that has been advanced technologically in its re-presentation of the classics, Friends, an important fact seems to have been driven home by Aniston's statement. What these moments mean to the participants does not change. Like so many of Rachel's signature looks, the mint green dress is part of the manifestation of how times changed fashion, in the case of the character and pop culture for that. Whether seen as green or blue, it is yet another example of the extent to which fans remain immersed in the world of Friends, even at its most trivial minutiae of visual history. And if a dress could cause that much buzz, just wait until you revisit the love story that defined the show. The Ross and Rachel roller coaster. The relationship between Ross Geller and Rachel Green became one of the most iconic romances in television history, turning their love story into the beating heart of Friends. From the moment Ross confessed his long-standing crush, fans were hooked, watching as their friendship evolved into something more. The dynamic between the two characters wasn't just about romantic tension. It was about timing, personal growth, and the messiness of real-life relationships. Jennifer Aniston has often noted in interviews how deeply she and David Schwimmer worked to bring authenticity to the ups and downs of Ross and Rachel, fully aware of how invested viewers were in their journey. It all started with the moment when Rachel saw the prom video. That was when their relationship changed into something more romantic from being platonic. As expected, life was not easy. Jealousy, misunderstandings, and clashes in their lives were instrumental in testing their relationship, but none as memorable as the whole "we were on a break" fiasco. That one plot point kicked off arguments that have lasted for generations, with Aniston herself admitting that they wrote so wonderfully about all the gray emotional areas that make up real relationships. This made her describe moments with Rachel as both fun and challenging, as the character dealt with heartbreak, hope, and everything in between. Through all of the seasons, Ross and Rachel have been at the heart of Friends, from the cute first kiss to the nasty breakup over drunken Vegas escapades to co-parenting their daughter, Emma. Indeed, the audience was caught by the marriage of Jennifer Aniston and David Schwimmer. Well, Aniston recently shared that both brought their emotional truths into their characters, making their relationship on-screen real and relatable, no matter how dramatic it was at one point. After that last reunion at the airport, fans were left pondering Ross and Rachel's future for all of the years to come. Jennifer Aniston said that she pictured the couple actually managing to weave their way through the complexities of their lives and building a family. In her mind, Ross and Rachel always implied hope. Hope that love could survive even the gravest mistakes and stumbles. That continuing thread that links the two characters, represented so lovingly by Aniston and Schwimmer, is still one of the most precious jewels in Friends and serious long-lasting proof of how television can humorously, tenderly, and truthfully replicate the great complexity of love. Laughter and goodbyes. Behind the scenes of Friends, the atmosphere on set was often as lively and entertaining as the show itself. The cast became well known for their ability to crack each other up, leading to countless bloopers that showcased their natural chemistry. Jennifer Aniston, along with her co-stars, has spoken about how certain scenes became impossible to finish without breaking into laughter, particularly those involving Matthew Perry's razor-sharp one-liners or unexpected ad-libs from Lisa Kudrow. The energy on set was infectious, with the live studio audience adding to the excitement, turning every taping into a shared celebration of humor and spontaneity. It was all fun and joy outside the set, yet bringing a hit sitcom into existence was very taxing. There was hardly any room for error while filming in front of a live audience. The set pressure to deliver consistent performances week in and week out could be really intense. Jennifer Aniston has noted that at times, especially toward the end of the seasons, it was almost too much. The expectations, the weight, combined with personal challenges. After long hours, intense media scrutiny, and trying to manage the balance between their fame and private lives, put the strongest test was put on even the most steadfast cast members. By the time Friends came to an end, emotions had begun to reach peak heights. The set that had once been filled with fun and lightheartedness now became a site filled with bittersweet moments. The last day of table readings and rehearsals was especially hard for Aniston, as she described, while she and her co-stars found themselves often learning through the reading process quite tearfully that it would indeed lead to them facing a goodbye after having spent a decade with each other. That once was a hub full of laughter and daily routine, but now had turned to be a place to ponder and appreciate the great experience that cast and crew had developed together and the impact it had brought to millions of avid fans across the world. Ultimately, what walked above it all, apart from every actor's experience, sometimes differences, sometimes the emotions of having to close such a beloved series, was the utmost respect and affection that the cast continued to share. Therefore, Aniston and the co-stars have always said that those challenges, instead of fracturing their bonds, actually forged some lasting friendships and made special memories that would last long after the last curtain call. The show thrived on the mixture of joy, struggle, and authenticity that was behind the scenes at Friends, proof that the romance audiences saw on screen was really based on something pretty true. Life after Friends. When Friends aired its final episode in 2004, millions of fans were left with one lingering question. What became of Ross and Rachel after that emotional airport reunion? The finale gave viewers a heartfelt resolution as Rachel stepped off the plane, choosing love over a fresh start in Paris. But it stopped short of detailing what came next. Over the years, this open-ended conclusion fueled endless speculation, with devoted fans imagining everything from marriage to new adventures for the iconic couple. For Jennifer Aniston, the question of what happened next has been one she's answered thoughtfully in interviews, sharing her personal view of how Ross and Rachel's story continued beyond that final scene. In Aniston's eyes, Ross and Rachel finally found lasting happiness together after years of missed opportunities and emotional ups and downs. She has shared in interviews that she firmly believes they stayed together, raising their daughter Emma and perhaps expanding their family. For Aniston, this ending felt natural, a reward for all the heartbreak and growth the characters endured over 10 seasons. The idea that Ross and Rachel would build a stable, loving life resonates deeply with fans who rooted for them through every reconciliation and setback. It speaks to the hopeful spirit of the show, where love, no matter how complicated, had a chance to endure. According to Jennifer Aniston's observations, it is closure for the fans, which the show purposely kept closer to interpretation. She has feigned it so deeply that Ross and Rachel would probably be imagined living in New York, where they would juggle all that work and parenting would hold them together with their small group of friends. This continues to be what Friends made so endlessly: that life goes on, friendships endure, and love can cross even the most tangled histories. In Aniston's case, it all makes sense because of love for the characters and for anything that the journey meant to people who grew up with them. Not only did Aniston's glowing thoughts on Ross and Rachel illuminate the factors making the show finale so memorable, but they also counterpointed such implications with their immediate thrust toward the semi-intangible. Closure was not what the finale was about. Rather, it was about possibilities for an unwritten future, contingent upon decisions the characters had made. It is this openness of Friends that Jennifer Aniston found most breathtaking, that Ross and Rachel's love story runs parallel to the friendships at the heart of the show in the minds of so many fans. It reminds us of the fact that sometimes the most satisfactory endings leave you with hope. Friends Reunion. In February 2020, the long-awaited Friends reunion was officially confirmed, bringing a wave of excitement across generations of fans. Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, Matthew Perry, and David Schwimmer all agreed to return for an unscripted HBO Max special. This wasn't about revisiting the characters in new episodes. It was about revisiting the actors as themselves, reflecting on the show's impact. Set on the original Warner Brothers lot in Burbank, the reunion offered a rare chance to see the six stars return to the familiar spaces where they spent a decade together. The goal was simple: to share memories, surprises, and moments of real emotion that would remind audiences why Friends became so beloved in the first place. The show was postponed from its original 2000 siege due to the pandemic, which left fans anxious as they eagerly awaited its production and premiere. When production started again in 2021, the whole safety measure was applied during filming, but the spirit and essence of the show remained unbroken. The special was directed by Ben Winston, who literally prepared by rewatching all 236 episodes as an initiation into the whole series. James Corden hosted the whole reunion at Stage 24, the longtime original soundstage from Season 2 onward, to add authenticity that brought back old memories. Viewers were treated to table reads of classic scenes, trivia competitions testing cast members' memories, and visits from special guests to demonstrate the cultural global reach of Friends. What made this reunion stand out, beyond its emotional intensity, was the cast's remarkable honesty in sharing personal experiences. The unscripted format liberates the actors to speak without inhibition on their relationships, fame, and how the show altered the course of their lives. Jennifer Aniston and David Schwimmer, admitting they had real-life crushes during the early seasons, added a whole new layer to the Ross and Rachel story that fans have dissected for years. 6 people revisiting the place that molded them, laughing at old bloopers, and standing in reconstructed scenes that put them back in time, made all the difference from having scripts, imaginary characters, or scripted stories. The Friends reunion was much more than a walk down memory lane. It brought together cast, creators, and fans alike, in celebration of what the show meant to them. It signaled to viewers that Friends was not just a sitcom. It was an experience that was as much about pop culture as it was about real life. Those emotions we witnessed, the tears, the confessions, and the chemistry among the stars, reaffirmed that the show still matters decades later. For the fans, this reunion was an opportunity to find closure and celebrate the awareness that some friendships are forever. The reunion showed how close the cast still is, but the real question is why Friends still matters to new fans and stays part of our lives. The legacy of Friends. For Jennifer Aniston, the legacy of Friends is something she describes with a mix of humility and wonder. What began as a sitcom about 6 young adults in New York City turned into a cultural phenomenon that continues to resonate decades after its final episode. Aniston has often said that none of the cast could have predicted the scale of the show's success or how deeply it would embed itself in popular culture. From its instantly recognizable theme song to its memorable catchphrases and iconic locations, Friends became more than just a TV show. It became a touchstone for a generation and beyond, with new fans discovering it every day. Aniston has frequently expressed how moved she is by the way Friends has connected people across different ages, cultures, and parts of the world. She's spoken about receiving letters and messages from fans who share how the show helped them through difficult times, offered comfort during periods of loneliness, or inspired them to value their friendships more deeply. To her, part of the magic of Friends lies in its universal themes: love, friendship, personal growth, and the often messy but beautiful journey of adulthood. The show's simplicity, combined with its heart and humor, created something timeless that continues to speak to audiences in ways Aniston finds both touching and surprising. One of those who also weighed in on Friends was Jennifer Aniston, who explained how it has rewritten the script on ensemble comedies and renewed their definition. The ideal standard for the imaginary six-way balance must be set, not even by putting it on the same shelf as the beautiful chaos of bright humor interspersed with emotional complexity, real chemistry, and many other things, as it lays the foundation for so many shows. Everything from fashions to speech, from the apartment of the characters to activity old and new for concepts. They did it all, even the creations that leave her awestruck by how inventive the fandom becomes, from themed cafes and trivia nights to fans recreating scenes or persons as they style themselves after Rachel, Monica, or any one of the gang. All just amazed her. Jennifer Aniston believes that the show Friends today is more of an event after which her career is defined. It is an everlasting gift that continues to provide joy and connection to millions worldwide. What matters most to her is that those who are fighting their problems derive comfort and laughter from the show. For her, it is a constant reminder of humor, kindness, and togetherness in the face of so many inevitable changes in life. The very kind of legacy that sparkles in every smile, in each shared memory, and in the eyes of those new fans who get introduced to the series. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment below with your favorite Friends moment, and subscribe for more stories from behind the scenes. And don't go just yet. Click on the next video on your screen to keep the fun going.